hearing this, I love you.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
Welcome to Tea Time with Sweetapple. I'm Sweetapple, and today we're going to be having some Lu Bao. This is ancient arbor. It was made in 2008, and it's a raw Lu Bao. I'll start just as usual, heating up my teaware and measuring out my tea. Hope you're having a lovely Thursday. Almost to the end of the week. Very exciting. It would be helpful if I had my scale on to measure the tea. Alright. Let's try that again. Just over 7 grams. Now, I had this tea once already, off stream, and the word I would use to describe it is dank. You can see it's pretty oxidized. It's definitely got some age on it. Again, being a 2008. Very dank, kind of mossy almost. So if you're not a fan of earthy flavors, this is probably not for you. But if you like a nice earthy drink that's got some sweetness, this is pretty good. It's definitely not as sweet as pu'er. There's a lot more complexity going on, I would say. But well, ripe pu'er to be specific. But yeah, it's just kind of like someone made tea out of the forest floor. Is my best description of this tea, which I can definitely see how that's not for everyone, but I like this, and it's definitely got a very strong chi, so that's a plus. Saw last night that rail skateboarding is done for. Well, I guess they're still technically making content, but things got pretty wild. The main guy, I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Something Kiro. Anyway, he was like super into Scientology, and apparently he just started giving all of his money to Scientology and not, paying his employees or making payments on their warehouse and stuff like that. So now they're selling it all and it's like all ripped up. It's crazy because that got me into like skateboarding a little bit at a point, and I definitely watched that content forever. So it's weird to sort of see an end of an era in such a unfortunate way. Hey there, I'm making a raw lu bao. Here, I'll show you the label. So it's very earthy, kind of like it's got a bit of like a forest floor kind of taste, like dank. It's kind of mossy. There's a little bit of sweetness. So it may not be the right tea for everyone, but I'm certainly enjoying it. Yeah, it is a darker tea. Here, I can actually, I'll just show you the guy one. One sec. You can see the leaves are very oxidized. So this would fall into the category of hei cha. It's very similar to pu'er. Yeah, gong fu. I've been really enjoying making tea this way. Figured, I'm gonna spend time doing it every day, no matter what. So might as well just share that experience with others. Thank you for joining, by the way. So glad to have you in the chat.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
For sure. It's also a lot of fun to see, to experience how the flavor evolves over the course of the session. Yeah, as you can see, this doesn't brew super dark. It is a raw lu bao, so you get a color pretty similar to a raw pu'er. Um, but I would say that flavor-wise, this has more in common with a ripe and little less sweetness than a ripe pu'er. Definitely a very strong chi as well. Yeah, so this type of tea, they put in a basket, kind of like mao cha, like loose, and then it ages in that basket. Yeah, that was my second steep. Yep. And then yeah, other than that, it's very similar to pu'er. In fact, the ripe lu bao, they even wet a little bit, so it's very similar in processing, but very different at the same time. Why did I throw? I'm not sure what you mean. Why'd I throw? Oh, yeah, I just do that all the time. I don't know. I always pour on the teapot. You know, there's a belief that I've read that it's good luck the more tea that you give them, the more good luck you bring into your life. So I make sure that he's well fed. Also, usually it's not quite enough for a whole a second cup, so I just like to give it to him, let him have some of my tea. Yeah, I believe that's true. I think that you can use it also if you know your tea gets cold. Um, but I personally, at least, I like to just give it to give him all the tea he wants. But I'm no expert, so you could be very much right. I'm still definitely learning. Uh, but yeah, I just like giving him lots of tea, especially because sometimes he blows little bubbles, and I think that's very cute. Yeah, this is Neil's, by the way. Mm, it's definitely is good. It's got some camphor notes to it, which I only recently learned what camphor is. It's not really something I had encountered much outside of tea, but it comes up a lot, especially with darker teas. So I learned recently with that to identify that taste. Yeah, it's really good. It's got some dankness. I'm brewing at 95 Celsius. I've gotten kind of into the habit of using that for almost everything. And if I brew a white tea or something a little more delicate, I'll often pour into my cup first and then transfer to the guy one. A bit hot. Interesting. I always was under the impression that hot tea or dark tea likes the hotter, like near boiling water. What would you brew it at? 90. I got you. Yeah, I've had pretty good success with 95. But maybe I'll have to try out 90 for a bit. About to refill my kettle so we can give that a shot.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
Oh wow, yeah, you brew a lot cooler than I do. I pretty much do 95 for just about everything. Oolongs, I'll do oolongs around 90 sometimes, depending on if they're not like very roasted. And then green tea, I haven't had a lot of green tea. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yep. Hey, welcome, Sammy. Yeah, I haven't really done a whole lot of experimenting with the temperature, so I'll have to try a little bit more you know, playing around with the temperatures a bit more because I do enjoy a sweet tea. I actually have this raw pu'er that's very sweet, so that might be really nice to try. See how far we can push that sweetness. But yeah, I'm also a little bit lazy with it, to be honest. Yeah, I find I get pretty good success with almost everything at 95. So it's a functional temperature for me, but it's definitely worth exploring. Yeah, that sounds about right. I this one is about 140 milliliters, this guy one. So I put about 7 grams in there. And I have a couple teapots that are about 100 to 110, and I also put about 7 in those, but I like excuse me, I like a strong brew. I think it's amazing how much variability and choice you have. You know, you really get to customize your experience and the way that you enjoy the tea. You can really fine tune each tea to your taste. Yeah, I would believe that for sure. I haven't, like I said, I haven't drank a lot of green tea. That's gonna be probably one of the next styles of tea I explore. I recently started getting into oolongs, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit. But yeah, it's time to start exploring green tea. Yeah, I love coffee, which is actually why I got into ripe pu'er. It has a very similar flavor profile, in my opinion. You know, there's the slight fruitiness, there's the definite bitterness, but there's also sort of sweet, like earthiness that ties it all together. I really enjoy that about ripes. I have some Da Hong Pao that I haven't opened yet, so I'm itching. It's purple Da Hong Pao. I've never toasted my own leaves, but I bet you toasted Da Hong Pao would be good, real good. I've only had it once before, and it was incredible. That was the oolong that made me want to try more oolongs. That makes sense. I bet you it is. Like I said, I'm still a fledgling tea drinker, so eventually I'll have to learn to toast my own tea. I'm sure it's amazing having it freshly toasted. I actually really want to try some Taiwanese oolongs. That's the that was on my list next before green tea. I know I've heard about what was it? There was a bug bitten oolong that I believe is Taiwanese that really piqued my interest. And then milk oolong is interesting, not the flavored one, but the varietal that was made in Taiwan. But I've heard a lot of really great things about Taiwanese oolong, so I'm excited to expand my base of knowledge about that. I actually, funny enough, when I was really young, we had some Taiwanese exchange students stay with us, and I at the time did not really appreciate tea, but they gifted my mom this beautiful teapot, and I actually have my parents looking for that because it's tucked away somewhere, and it's kind of tragic it's not being used. It's also sort of such a sad missed opportunity because now I love tea and I think about how much I could have learned by enjoying tea with those students. But, you know, that's life. Now I get to connect with people over the internet and learn tea this way. I see, I see. Not quite as long brewing. Yeah, I have a Taiwan Yin that's like that. It's very delicious, but it doesn't brew for as many steeps. I also tend to like, really brew the snot out of my leaves until they basically taste like water. Ooh, that's awesome. It's I don't remember the name of that glaze, but it's the glaze that cracks over time and you can get the nice patina inside all the crackles. That's awesome. I'm jealous. I'm actually looking at some of that myself. Yeah, I definitely enjoy earthenware and like different clay teawares that are more porous. Excuse me. Um, I appreciate the more vitrified, teaware as well, obviously, but there's something about nice porous teaware. You can really develop a beautiful patina on it. I actually have I got new cups recently that are really nice and they have a sort of rough feel on the outside that I find very enjoyable when I'm using them.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
But yeah, I definitely I envy people who get to grow up in a culture that's a little more immersed in tea than people like I am who live in the States. Um, Especially since I've gotten into tea, it's tough to find. There's not really people who are passionate about it, and there's not really a lot of tea houses and even just vendors in general in the U.S. So I it's been cool to connect with people like on social media from all around the world since there's not quite the base of tea lovers. Oh, Chinatown. I could see that. When I lived in Seattle, there's a tea house there. Now I'm in SoCal now, so I'm like a couple hours from LA. So I bet you if I went to LA, there would probably be tea houses, but that's a little out of the way. We don't have the best public transit here in the States. That's another thing I envy about countries out east. But I guess in part that's kind of, at least a little bit, my hope doing these streams is I can get more people interested in tea and connect with people who love tea. Because when did I get that first order? It's probably 3, 4 months ago. I got my first order of tea, and I've been just fully obsessed ever since. So I wanted to, connect with people, share what I've learned, learn from them, etc. And I've been having a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, I was really spoiled in Seattle. There is amazing food from all over Asia. I have tried pu'er. I really like pu'er actually. I've got a couple right here. I have a little bit of this rain butter shoe. Tea stones. I'm not familiar with tea stones. Is that the when they like press the oils out of the leaves and compress that into like a little nugget of instant pu'er? I've seen that on vendor websites, but I've not tried that. It sounds very interesting. Or is it something else entirely?
If you're hearing this, I
Oh.
love you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yes. I think that in the West we call them cakes. But yes, yes, I am familiar with those. I have a couple of those and I really enjoy the process of breaking them up. I'm only just starting to get good at it though. So it's fun. I'm a sucker for anything that's a process. I don't know why, but I just enjoy really honing in and refining my technique and the ritual of doing something. Yeah, yeah. I got my tea shank right here. But I'm actually planning. I think tomorrow I have my album comes out, and so to celebrate, I'm gonna be breaking open a brick. I got a nice 500-gram brick of fucha from Mojun that I'm gonna break open to celebrate my album release tomorrow. So if you want to come and critique my technique, you're welcome to. I'm sure you could give me some pointers. I have a question for you, Pocket Man. I haven't really tried a whole lot of Taiwanese food. Curious if you could recommend one dish for someone uninitiated. Uh-oh. I'll have to adjust my auto mod maybe. I'm also new to streaming, so I apologize if things aren't quite as smooth as you would hope. I'm still refining that skill as well. But yeah, if you had one food from Taiwan you'd recommend to someone who's unfamiliar with the cuisine, what would you recommend? Let's see. Oh, grab a two-factor authenticate. I'm pulling up my dashboard so I can check to see what happened. Stinky tofu or butterfly chicken. Okay, I've heard of stinky tofu. I'm familiar with that. And I will be honest, that's a slightly intimidating dish, but I'm an adventurous eater, so I'm down to try anything. I've never heard of butterfly chicken though. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. All right, I got my Twitch dashboard here. Let's see. Settings, moderation, auto mod results. Okay, if you need to know actual tiny stuff, it would be radish cakes. Oh, interesting. That's really neat. Okay, that's really cool. So fragrance is really, really important to Taiwanese food. I learned something new. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. I'm gonna be looking into all these foods. Let's see here. Butterfly chicken. Oh, that looks really tasty. I've de- I'm I've never tried tea eggs, but I'm aware of those. That's definitely something that I want to try when I get the opportunity. I feel like I've tried a decent amount of Japanese, Korean, Chinese food, but I haven't really had too much experience with Taiwanese. So that's really I'm glad I got some dishes to keep in mind to check out. Ooh, okay, I see. We have a really funny word for flattening a chicken in the West. We call it spatchcocking, which I think is a hilarious term that
I love you.
gets used in professional kitchens here. I think it's just the funniest word. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, here we spatchcock our chickens. I think English is such a goofy language, honestly. There's so many just like random words that you hear and you're like, that's really the word you want to go with? I saw forever ago a meme that was circulating saying that English is just four languages in a trench coat, and I could not think of a more accurate description. It's such a funny language. I know, being Canadian, there's tons and tons of French loan words in English, which I think is really interesting. Hmm. Honestly, I'm fascinated by language in general. As a songwriter, I think I just tend to spend a lot of time thinking about words, and I hear an unusual word, I can't help but wonder where it comes from. Start building out those connections. French, German, probably Spanish, I would guess, and maybe some Latin. That would be my guess. I'm just pulling that out of nowhere, though. Actually, speaking of the German influence, if you ever hear like actual Old English, la munition, yeah, yeah. What's another one? There was a, was it? There was one that I was just talking about the other day that was a French word. Man, I'm blanking. Oh well. It's always pretty contextual, I feel like. All right, Sammy. Good night. I hope you have a restful sleep.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate you coming to hang out. Ooh, very nice. Glad that you're having some tea with me then. There we go. I've been uh I've been really jonesing to buy a basket of Lu Bao for no reason other than I would immensely enjoy owning a basket of tea. It's kind of the same motivation that I have behind buying all the cakes that I have is like, but I can have the whole thing and I want that. And so I keep buying I keep taking a gamble and I buy whole cakes of tea that I've never even sampled. But luckily, I haven't gotten one I don't like yet. Speaking of, yeah,
If you're hearing this, I love you.
I have a what's the word? Not quite a cabinet, but a dresser that I store all my tea in, and I have like different drawers for different teas. So like all my dark teas are stored together. My oolongs get their own drawer. My black teas get their own drawer. I think I keep the black teas and the white teas together, and then it's got a little shelf that I put my teaware on. But usually I usually don't have any tea long enough that I worry too much about how it's stored. I'm usually drinking it pretty quick. But I would like to get more proper storage because I have at least one cake that I kind of want to age. And so I've been starting to think about how to up my storage game. Luckily, it's very dry where I live. There's almost no humidity ever. It's basically a desert. So I don't have to worry too much. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying is that I'm basically in a desert, so there's almost never humidity here. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Okay. I'll have to switch up how I'm storing the oolong and whites then. See, I'm learning so much from you. This is why I love tea people. Always ready to share their knowledge, you know? That makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, especially because white tea is what they use to make pu'er. Yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, I didn't know that, so I appreciate you letting me know because I've been storing my oolongs and my whites incorrectly. I don't have any green tea at the moment, but when I do get some, now I know how to store it. I appreciate that. Sip only day. I really love the way that tea just kind of it wakes me up, but at the same time it kind of mellows me out. I always describe it as making me feel centered, where I'm energized, I'm alert, I can do the things I need to do, but I'm not like bugging either. Oh wow, that must have been a really cool experience. I'm sure you learned a ton from them. How'd you end up meeting them? Do you work in the tea industry? I see. Family friend. That's awesome. Oh wow, yeah. So you've got lots of connections to people who have really dedicated their lives to tea. That's amazing. I'd love to be able to sit down and drink tea with somebody who's that knowledgeable. I'm sure I would learn just heaps and heaps. Someday I'd hope I can get to visit a tea farm and buy some tea directly from a farmer. I think that would be amazing. Get to hear their story, hear their thoughts on how they, grow and process their tea. Just kind of learn a lot in general. And then, of course, enjoy some delicious tea. There's T18 in Taiwan. The one I got is from Sun Moon Lake. Okay. I'll have to let me pull that up in a tab as well so I don't forget. Oh, that sounds really tasty. Nice. Yeah, that's something I really enjoy about black tea is the sweetness. I have a Laotian black tea that's got some osmanthus flower in it that's very sweet, almost milk chocolatey. Uh, very, very tasty. But it brews out very quick. I've noticed that, and this could just be me having not tried enough teas yet, but so far what I've noticed is the sweeter or more fragrant the tea is, like the more extreme to one end of either of those sweetness or intense fragrance, the quicker the tea seems to brew out. But the more subtle and earthy kind of teas that are a little heartier, those tend to brew a lot longer. You know, like pu'er, where it's got the deep earthy note. It just goes and goes and goes. Yeah, I've really enjoyed all the black teas. That's why you brew cold. Oh, that's really smart, actually. That's a great idea. Cooler than I, yeah. You do brew cooler than me, and I'm sure you're also much cooler than me. You seem like a real nice person. Mm, that makes sense. I think that's also why I like to brew my teas to death until they just taste like water. Because sometimes when the more prominent flavors fade, then suddenly out of nowhere, these really subtle notes have room to come forward and show up. And so you might pick up on like a subtle fruitiness or a subtle floral note that you weren't picking up because there was too much of a in your face earthy tone or something like that that was distracting you from it. Yeah, that's the experimentation is a lot of the fun, isn't it? I really enjoy the process of figuring out kind of each tea because they all have their own requirements and things that work best for them to get the most out of them. And so it's a lot of fun to experiment and learn, and you sort of have this interaction with the tea. Make into soup. You know, I've been thinking about using tea as a soup or like as a soup base. Mix milk and sugar. That makes sense. Milk powder. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Huh. I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds really tasty. Right, exactly. And then you kind of basically end up with tea flavored milk, which is really interesting. I'm learning all kinds of cool tricks from you. I'm stoked. I'm definitely gonna try some of these things you're suggesting. Yeah, I love when I find a tea that speaks to me that I'm just immediately in love with. Because while I haven't come across a tea that I dislike, I've definitely had, you know, varying degrees of enjoyment of different teas. And the ones that just like I absolutely adore, they're so fun to drink, especially when you discover them the first time. Because it just kind of it fills you with this warmth and happiness that just bubbles out, and I it's a very joyful experience to discover a delicious tea. And I'm sure it'll be a similar experience when I try a new technique, like adding the milk powder and sugar, or making it into soup. I think that that'll be very enjoyable and fun. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, when you're brewing for yourself, I think what you prefer and your personal taste is takes priority. But I like the suggestion of the milk powder because it kind of It reminds me of like a milk tea or those really really sweet teas you get at boba shops. At least conceptually, that's kind of how I envision it.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
See if we can get one more steep out of this. That makes sense. Yeah. Sugar. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely try that out. That's gonna be fun to experiment and kind of dial in the proportions of what to add. I gotta get some milk powder first, but I'm excited to try that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh, I appreciate you following. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. I've definitely enjoyed having you in the chat. It's been very informative for me. I've learned quite a bit already, so I'm sure I'll get to learn more as we continue to hang out over tea sessions. Ooh, my strainer. Yeah, I use spring water. So this is the one that I've been using lately. It's locally sourced spring water. I've seen a lot of mixed opinions online about using spring water versus distilled water, but in my experience or experimentation, I felt that distilled water left the tea more astringent, and I've enjoyed the way that the minerality of spring water. Hey, I was right. Cool. So my tongue did not lie. Yeah, I felt like the minerality of spring water just added a nice depth to the flavors, but not all spring water is equal as well. So it's the minerals that are extracting the tannins. Interesting. That makes sense. But yeah, there's a few spring waters that I've tried that one called Eternal that's just completely muted the flavor of the tea, and then one that kind of tasted a bit like vaguely like sewage, which was very off-putting. But this one and Fiji is also really good, but Fiji is kind of expensive. But yeah, I've noticed you get much better mouth feel, and it's a lot less astringent. So I'm glad that my tongue did not deceive me. Yeah, I've seen some places that are very, you know, fervent that you have to use distilled water, but it hasn't I haven't had the best experiences with distilled water. If I'm in a pinch, it's fine, but I definitely prefer spring water. If I was really rich, the best alternative for good spring water is Evian. Oh, that makes sense because of the electrolytes they add. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, but yeah, it's if I was real bougie, real rich, I'd probably have like specific water pairings for different teas, but I'll stick with my Crystal Geyser. It's very affordable and it works really well. Plus, I get these big gallons of it at a time that last me for a little while, so I'm not constantly having to go to the store every day for more water. But in California, we also don't really have the most drinkable tap water, so I yeah, I'm used to buying water and making that a regular trip. Evian is a little bit more expensive. Let me see. I can look up the price and give you a comparison. Because the gallon of this water is only like $1.30 US. Evian water. Yeah, yeah, definitely much cheaper. It's 5 times 50 is 33,000. So yeah, it would be like $8 for a 6 pack of 500 milliliter Evians, which is still 700 milliliters less than this gallon. So I definitely, I usually stick with the Crystal Geyser. Although sometimes I like to, splurge on water a bit, especially if I can find Fiji on sale. I really enjoy Fiji, and once in a while I can find it for really cheap. It does. It's amazing how much the water affects the flavor. That was the first time I used spring water instead of distilled. It totally blew my mind. Opened me up to just a whole world of possibilities to really fine tune my tea experience. That's good to know. That's definitely good to know. It's I've been on the hunt for a good milk oolong, but I haven't found one that I can trust isn't scented or flavored. So I haven't bought one yet. There's been a couple times I came close, but I would read reviews and something just seemed a little fishy. Like, this one seems a little bit like maybe it's been helped, you know. And I want to get the true experience of just the actual varietal, because I'm not necessarily expecting it to just straight up taste like milk, but I'm sure there's going to be that subtle milk note. Hmm, that's good to know. I mean, when I get my hands on some milk oolong, I'll definitely make sure to buy a bottle of Evian just to make sure I have it on hand to try. Is Perrier weird? I haven't really tried making tea with that. Oh, it's not subtle. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, now I'm even more excited to try it. Yeah, I do have a Discord. I don't have a Discord for my streams, but I am on Discord. I should clarify. How to send pictures. Let's see. That's a great question. Maybe I'll need to get making a Discord, but in the meantime, I think I can give you my info to add me as a friend. Yeah, if you add Sweetapple underscore music, all lowercase. Let's see. I'll just type it in. Excuse me. I'll just type it in the chat. Oh, right. Well, I'm not logged in this UI. One sec. Oh, right. It's that. That's what you need is the doodle with the number. One sec. I'm getting you the little tag so you can add me on Discord. Yeah, I've only just recently started using Discord because I'm part of an artist collective that I've been pretty involved in, and that's all based on Discord. Okay, maybe it's. Whoops, that's not what I needed. No worries. Yeah, no worries. Let me know if that the username works for adding me, and I'm excited to see your teas. I'm gonna do one more tea, one more brew, I think. And then I'll probably call it after that. But definitely let me know if you're having trouble adding me on Discord. I'm not the most Discord savvy, but I'll try to figure it out. I'll also try to get a Discord going for this channel so people can share their tea and whatnot. So I think that'd be fun. probably help grow the community a bit too. Because like I said, that is kind of ultimately my goal, is I want to get some community of tea lovers going and spread the joy that is drinking tea. Cool, just got your friend request. Yeah, I just got it. I accepted your friend request. So we're good to go on the Discord side.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
Ooh, I love the packaging that these come in. Very cool. The so the actual bag is very similar to how we get them packaged, but when I get tea delivered, it is not in those nice cardboard tubes. Those are really nice. I usually just get it in just the bag by itself. Actually, one sec. I'll be right back. I'll show you.
If you're hearing this, I love you.
Yeah, so I just get them in this packaging when they arrive. We got some meta chat going on. Chatting in the Discord and on the, yeah, very simple. Very, very simple. This is a this is an Anshi oolong that's unroasted, so it's very green. Uh, I'm excited to try this one, but I got a Taiwan Yin that I'm looking to finish first. I also need to finish this oolong right here. And then I'm thinking of transferring the Taiwan Yin to that little vessel. But yeah, it's very simple. To be honest, I mostly bought this for the the little caddy. Fujian tea is, yeah, definitely very fragrant, very floral. The Taiwan Yin that I got, every time I brew it, it blows my mind because the flavor is excellent, but the aroma blows my mind because it smells exactly like a caramel latte. Just unbelievable. Like a very distinct espresso smell, very distinct caramely smell. It's incredible. I wish I could I wish I had a candle with the smell of that tea. Actually, that's probably not that hard to make. I could probably make that happen. Yeah, when you get a really good smelling tea, it's hard not to just drink it all up, huh? I do the same thing. I'm like, ooh, I like this. I should make it last and stretch it out. And then a week later, I've drank all of it. You found some small ones. Ooh, nice. That's exciting. Now you got a little bit more that you can enjoy. Well, all right, friend. I appreciate you joining me for tea time today, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with me. I hope I'll see you again in the near future, but I'm going to wrap up the stream for today, and I hope you have a blessed day. I hope you enjoy some delicious tea. I know you said you're making some sencha. Hope that's delicious. And like I said, I hope to see you again soon. All right, thanks for joining. Be blessed. My pleasure.